Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am here with a very exciting video because today is going to be a tag video. I haven't done a tag video in a long time, and it's also a collab video. I got invited to do this by Millie. This tag is also created by Millie. Her full name is Millie Davison, and I will have her link down below. I actually discovered her through this. She got in contact with me because Caitlin recommended to invite me to this tag, so thank you Caitlin too. I'm also working a bit of a blue smoky eye today, so definitely in Caitlin fashion. But yeah, Caitlin suggested to Millie to invite me into this tag, and I'm so grateful that she did because these questions are right up my alley. And I have since then watched loads of Millie's videos. I love the mix of things on her channel. It's very similar to me, or at least like what I want to do, I guess. She does a lot of product pans, but she also does kind of product reviews, both like indie makeup and non-indie makeup, and just like loads of variety, but all related to makeup and the love for beauty. So check her out if you are interested in both like product pan and, you know, topics like consumption, but also product reviews. I really do enjoy her channel, and she's also from the UK, just like me. Well, I'm not from the UK, but I live here now. So yeah, check her out. She is lovely, and I'm again so grateful for her to invite me into this tag. This tag, I'm just checking now, this tag has 10 questions, and they're all related to product panning. So this is the project pan tag. I'm gonna go through, of course, all of the 10 questions and answer them. I have somewhat prepped this video. I did actually mention in the group chat that we have, because we talked about if we film this video yet or not, and I mentioned there that I have prepped my questions. Millie actually said, girl, you're way more prepared than I am, and I responded that I kind of need to do that because otherwise whenever I film, I sit here and I overthink my answers I can overthink them for solid 10-20 minutes, especially questions are like about like what was your favorite blank, because I just feel like I need to have the perfect answer, which I probably still don't do, but I just feel like I overthink my answers, and I feel like, okay, what if I say this thing, but then I remember this other thing that I actually liked more than I lied in the first answer, and I just overthink it. I'm an overthinker. So anyway, I'm gonna stop this very long ranty intro, and I'm gonna jump into the first question. But before I do so, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. Also, by the way, you can see that I have some flowers here and a black screen. Normally I have my background there, and then the flowers my boyfriend actually gave me just yesterday, not for like the video background or anything. What it's really fitting today because otherwise it would have been a black screen there, and that's because I don't have my work laptop in the flat right now. I've had some massive drama going on this week. I might do a good video with me talking about that if you want to see it, but that is why I don't have my normal background. Just wanted to point that out quickly. But again, let's move into the first question. So the first question is, how long have you been product panning? So I obviously started this channel in 2018, so that is my kind of official journey with product panning, which then would be 6.5 years now. So definitely a long time. But what you guys probably don't know is that I actually did a lot of product panning even before this channel. I have followed product panning basically since I think almost the beginning of product panning, almost like very early on. I feel like I started getting into product panning in 2012, and since then I have kind of on and off done product panning, but I would say properly started in maybe like 2017 was when I like started actually tracking usage, stuff like that on my own, and then I started my channel in January 2018. But I have been following the kind of community and also kind of panning, knowing what panning is, and kind of focusing on finishing products up since 2012. So definitely a long time, which is, you know, 12 years now. But I would say officially it's been now like 6 to 8 years probably since I started officially. Anyway, that's question number one. Then the second question is one of the ones that I struggle with, because of course this is like the favorite question. So this is my favorite product I've ever panned, and this was so hard. I went back to like my old like product pan photos, all of my pictures I've taken. I went back into like old empties videos. I went back into my spreadsheet to see what I have finished up over the years, and it's really difficult to narrow down. But one product that stuck out to me that I wish was still around, because I did absolutely love panning this, and It's actually relatively recent too. I panned this one last year. And I'm really sad that this formula isn't around anymore because it's such a lovely color, such a lovely formula, and I did really enjoy my time with this one. And it's very rare that I wish that I could repurchase things after I finish them, but this is one of them. And again, unfortunately, it's not around, which is a shame because again, normally I don't really want to repurchase things that I've panned, but this one is one, and of course that one isn't available. And the product I'm talking about is the Revlon lip butter in pink truffle. I'll pull up a picture here if I can. This was just such a beautiful, like, it's a very hydrating, kind of glossy but still like not a lip gloss. It's like a very hydrating glossy kind of formula, but it's still lipstick-y, but it's not like heavy on the lips. And this specific color was very beautiful. It was like my perfect brownie pinky nude, and I absolutely loved my time with it. I remember last year in my product apocalypse, which is when I finished this product, I remember thinking like, I think I even told you guys in those videos that like I'm saving this one. Every update I was like, oh, I have progress on it, but I'm not in a rush. I don't want to like rush through it. I'm really enjoying it. I know it's going to be empty for sure by the end of the year, and that was truly the case because I absolutely love that product. So it's a shame that it's gone and I can't get it again, but that's probably my favorite product that I've ever panned. Then the third question is my most frustrating pan I've ever completed. And for this, I decided to go with an eyeshadow. And the eyeshadow that I picked is definitely one that took me a long time to finish. This is a shade from one of my Pan Tag palettes, and this is the very last shade that stood standing in that palette for a very clear reason. This color was just something that was very out there. Well, I mean, it's still like neutral-ish leaning. It wasn't like a blue like this, but it was still a little bit more vibrant. It was like a bit darker, which is something that I don't really wear anymore, again, although I'm today. And also it was just a very firm matte formula, and that is the shade Love Letter from my Modern Renaissance palette, which was my Pan Tag palette in 2022 leading into 2023. So yeah, I finished that shade last year, but it did definitely take a long time. You know, I'll probably have some pictures up of like flashbacks with that shade, because yeah, it was definitely a frustrating pan because I really wanted to complete that palette fully, but that kind of vibrant pink shade was just something that I didn't really wear on a daily basis normally. So I remember packing this on all over my lid, kind of like the shades in my crease, and kind of mostly covering it with like indie shimmers to try to switch the tone of it. So still picking through a little bit but just toning it down. I did that so much, and I wore it like all over my lid day in day out to get it done, but I did get it done, and with that shade I also finished the palette. So that is my most frustrating pan I've ever completed. For question number 4, we have a product that got the better of me and I couldn't finish. And for this one I chose another eyeshadow related product, and this is actually also another pretty recent product. It's not very often that I mean, actually there's a couple of things that I declutter, but it's not a lot of things that I do actually give a lot of use to and then still end up decluttering. A lot of times I had them in projects and then I realized I'm not using them and then I declutter them. But it's very rare that I have products that I really do try really hard on, but eventually I'm just like, can't do this, you win this round, you're out, kind of thing. But this product was, and this is actually my Pan Tag palette from last year, which was the Beauty Bay Naked Source palette, which I had in for the first half of the year until I decided to declutter it at the 6-month point, where I switched it out with a Huda Beauty palette. But that is a palette that I was really excited to pan because I did really like that palette. The mattes were super like interesting colors. The formula was really nice. The shadows was like massive though, and I think that's one of the reasons why it got the better out of me. But I think especially after panning Modern Renaissance the year before, I thought this one would be the perfect palette because it can do some more colorful looks, stuff like that. And the shimmers in that palette was like absolutely stunning. I did actually save a couple of them, but yeah, overall those shades were so pretty. But ultimately I just found myself not reaching for it enough. I had to force myself to make looks with it, and I feel like no matter how much I used it, it just did not get closer to being finished, and I just realized I'm not going to finish this palette. So ultimately again I did end up decluttering that palette. But yeah, that is definitely a product that's gotten the better out of me. So that was question number 4. Moving on to question number 5, we have a product that I thought would be easy to pan what was actually hard. And for that one I picked a highlighter. I feel like overall highlighters, you don't use too much of them, but I feel like they normally don't take like too long for me to finish. I have gone through quite a few highlights this year, and that's, I mean, this year is crazy. I've gone through way more this year than I normally do, but I feel like I can get through them, you know, somewhat quickly. But there was one specific highlight that took me way longer than I thought it would, especially because when I rolled this into a product to finish, I already had really good use on it, but it just took so long. And that was my Mary Luminizer from the Balm. I finished this one, I believe it rolled into last year, but if I remember correctly, I believe I panned it mainly in 2022. Or actually, did I pan it last year? Did it? I can't remember. If I can figure it out, I'll put it on a screen how long it took me to pan to completion. And when, like, I think, because now I'm thinking, like, reason why I wanted to finish so many highlights this year was because I spent all of last year panning one highlighter, which I think was the Mary Luminizer. Yeah, I think it was last year that I panned it, but maybe I even started panning it in 2022. I can't remember, but yeah, it took me a long time to finish. And again, I knew it wasn't going to be like, you know, super easy, fly through in a you know, 2 months or whatever, but I didn't think it would take as long as it did. So that is definitely the right product for that question. Then for question number 6, we have the opposite. We have a product that I thought would be hard but was actually easy, and that is the Max Factor blushes that I have in my collection. So far I completely panned 2. I'm currently have a third one in my in a product pan, in my yellow product pan, which I haven't actually used yet, but I'm hoping to finish it this year. But I did pan a sister product of this earlier this year, and I have panned a cream blush as well from this brand, and that is my Max Factor blushes. So I have panned both the soft pink cream blush, which I panned a couple years back, and then I also panned the lovely pink kind of powder shade, and it's like the baked formula for those. And currently I have the Gorgeous Berries, I think it's called, in my yellow product pan. But I feel like I found that those blushes are relatively easy to get through. I think it's maybe because it's not that much product in it, but whenever I roll up blush into a product pan, I have the mindset of like, this is going to take me majority of the year. A blush is like at least 9 months to finish, you know, sometimes even 2 years. It depends on the size of the blush, but I was like, it's going to be a long haul product. It's going to be in, you know, at least, because I knew it was a smaller blush, I was like, it's going to be in at least 6 months. But I think I finished that blush up, the powder blush I'm talking about earlier this year. I think I finished that specific blush up in like 3 months, which is insane for a blush. It was a very light color though, so I could build it up, but overall I was very shocked with how easy that was to pan. So yeah, definitely one that surprised me with how easy it was. I mean, I didn't know that it wouldn't be too hard again, but I did still think it would take like at least double the time, and it didn't. So very shocked with that one. And I remember thinking the same with the cream blush, which I panned a couple years back. So next question is my favorite project series. So how I'm interpreting this question, sorry if Millie if I'm wrong, but it's like basically my favorite product pan. And of course for this I have to pick Product Level Up, because it's one that I created myself and I just love doing it. I love getting used out of my palettes that way. I love hitting pan but also using the palettes as a whole. It's a bit of like a no pan left behind, but also like making some exclusive looks with that palette, and also of course hitting pan. So I love that project. Again, both doing it myself but also watching other people do it and watching other people kind of change it to fit them. I know some people do Product Level Up Light, which I love seeing as well, because it's just all about, Product Pan is all about making products work for you. So I'm really happy that so many people have taken that project on board and also making it their own. So that is definitely my favorite project, but you know, I am a bit biased. So I have put in an honorable mention, and for honorable mention I have picked Panda palette. I just love following a palette from start to finish, to see people completely finishing up a palette, even if you don't like, you go listen to finish a palette, even if you like don't get to the end of the year and only finish half of it. I don't mind. I just love seeing the consistent updates every single month and people getting use out of their palettes. Of course, I am an eyeshadow junkie, so eyeshadow projects are my favorites. And I used to love, you know, Panda's eyeshadows, and that probably would have been my favorites back in the day. And I still absolutely love Panda's eyeshadows. I'm not gonna ever, I think, stop liking that project or loving that project, but right now I'm just on a Panda palette kick. I just love watching again the progress and following the same palette's progress throughout the whole year. So That is definitely my favorite two projects at the moment. Okay, so we come to question number 8, and that is one product type I will always include in my project pans. And that kind of falls back into what I just said in my last question, and that is going to be eyeshadows. First of all, eyeshadow is definitely my product category. That is the category where I have way too many products. Like, I don't think I can ever even get through all my eyeshadows, even if I didn't buy any more. I could never get through them all. I mean, they probably expire anyway before that point. I think I did my how many years of whatever I own earlier this year, and I can't remember now. I mean, I have it somewhere. Maybe I'll find it and put it here. But I have so much eyeshadow. I think it was like over 100 years. Looking at like how much eyeshadow I actually finish. Of course, it's not like 100% accurate because I have a lot of eyeshadows with already pan in them, and they always going to be quicker to finish. But that only tracks finished things per year, if that makes sense. But overall, eyeshadows are always something I'm going to include in projects, just because again I have too many, but also I love eyeshadow. I love panning them. I feel like they're an easier type of product to pan on. You can show results quicker. I'm obsessed. I love seeing like super sparkly shimmery eyeshadow. The palette I'm using today isn't like the most sparkly ever, but I just love playing around with makeup. Sometimes it doesn't turn out the best. Again, not sure how this look will turn out on camera, but in real life it's not like my favorite look ever. But it's fine, you know. I'm gonna go for dinner with my boyfriend tonight, and I'm gonna wash this up and redo my makeup because I did this mainly for filming, and that's just what makeup is. And I feel like with eyeshadow you can just be so creative, and that's part of the reason why I love it. I also love the different shifts in colors, and I don't know, I'm just drawn to eyeshadows for sure. So that's always going to be a product that I'm going to include in my projects 100%. Alright, so we have the second to last question, which is a product I'm currently struggling on, but I'm sticking with it. And for that, I have actually picked, I pulled it out to show you, but I have actually picked my current Pan Tag palette, which is the Soft Glam palette. I'm going to open it. I'm not going to show you what it looks like because I don't want to spoil anything, but I am struggling with this one mainly because I feel like I'm not using it as much as I should. I am struggling with all of the different eyeshadows I'm panning. I'm struggling because I have my Big Fat Eyeshadow product where I try to make 3 exclusive looks with 4 palettes per month, so that's 12 days gone. And then obviously I have my Pan Tag eyeshadows with more eyeshadows in there. I have eyeshadows in my product 10 uses. I have eyeshadows in my product Level Up, of course. I also have some eyeshadows to finish in my yellow product pan, and also like usually some in my deco panning on a rotating basis. So I just have so many eyeshadows to focus on. Again, I'm not surprised because I do love working on eyeshadows, but it just means that with my Pan Tag, actually I'm just going to show you. It just means that with my Pan Tag palette, I just am struggling to include this in looks more regularly. Even though it's a beautiful palette, even though it's a more neutral palette, and I can use this one every day, I also feel like I've been doing way lighter looks recently, so I don't like go into a lot of like the deeper shades. I kind of stick with like, you know, 2, maybe 3 shades from here max in a look, which is definitely slowed down my usage. So I am struggling a little bit with this one, but I'm 100% going to stick with it. I still love this palette, and I'm going to stick with this one until the end of the year for sure. So hopefully I can find a way to pick up my use on this one and get some more use on it before the end of the year. So the last question is one tip or hack I use in my product pans, and I actually have 2. I know that might be cheating, but I feel like they also kind of go together. The first one that I want to mention is multitasking. So I multitask a lot of products, especially like eyeshadows. I have an eyeshadow in my yellow product pan that I use in my eyebrows, so that's multitasking. I don't really use them as like, I don't franken to like multitask them as bronzers or blushes or anything like that, at least very rarely. But I do multitask in different ways. So like again, I use an eyeshadow in my brows, I use my lipstick as a cream blush. So I do multitask in that sense, and I feel like that really helps me get through, especially those 2 categories where I know they're my product categories, especially again eyeshadows and lip products. So that is tip number 1 that I definitely use. And then the second one is frankening, and you could see that in my Pan Tag palette. I definitely do franken. When it comes to eyeshadows, I kind of franken to get more variety and make shades that I can use more easily. So currently, if you see my palette right here, I have 1, 2, 3 franken shades in here. So this one is a franken with this one and a white, and that means that I don't have used like these dark shades. I can actually use like more transition shades. So I have that one there, and then this one is also franken into there, again for the same reason, just to create more variety. and then this one is another transition shade. It's kind of similar to this, so I'm focusing on this one right now, but I know that these type of shades I use a lot, so just frankening to get more variety. And also if there's shades that you don't like are bored of or you don't use very much, like franking them might help you use them up. But it's also balanced, because if you add too much product, it might be super difficult to finish the palette overall because you keep adding product to it. So for example, with this one here, that is purely these two shades from this palette. It is Orange Soda and Dusty Rose, and that's like my ultimate way of to franken, because then you don't actually add any more product. You use kind of finding ways to use the products that are in here more. But then you also have like these two here, which again I added a white to, so there is a little bit more product, but I know that I would use those two shades way more often and in a larger capacity that I would like these two shades alone, so it is still okay. So those are two of the tips that I definitely use like every single year without a doubt. I use those two, and I do feel like they really do help me get through my products a bit faster. So there you guys, we have this tag video finished. Again, thank you so much Millie for inviting me. I have had such a blast to think about all the answers to these questions, and I am always loving product pans. I always have. I mean, that's the main reason I started my channel, so having a product pan tag has been like amazing, and it was so much fun to share like the products and also think back at my journey. So thank you again, and of course if there's going to be a playlist, I'm not sure if there will be, but if there will be a playlist, I will have that link down below with everyone else who's doing this project, or I will link everyone individually who has taken part in this collab, so you can check out everyone else. But other than that, I hope you guys are having an absolutely amazing day wherever you are, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys.